Welcome to the Embracing Neurodiversity podcast, where I share my journey of embracing the experience of my amazing son who is on the spectrum. I am Ivory, a mother, educator, and personal growth enthusiast. My goal is to offer insight and stories that may inspire you on your own parenting journey. Thank you for tuning in. She goes on to say that we use perfection as a defense not only against other people's potential criticism, but also against what we know is not in alignment in our own lives. I want to tie this into our experience as autism parents and how one of the things that I've learned is that what parents primarily struggle with when it comes to their child being on the spectrum is how other people are going to perceive them, how other people are going to treat them. And that rumbles up in us because we all at some level in our lives have been conditioned to care more about what other people think about us. And that is another reason why we lean to perfection or the attempt to be perfect. And it's the reason why we project that upon our children, right? But the beauty about our kids, particularly our kids on the spectrum, is that most kids, they're not born with the need to feel acceptance from others. We teach them that over time. But at least my child, my experience of him is that he especially does not care. And I love that about him, and he teaches me that too, right? He is not aware of how he enjoys being around people. He connects with people, but he's not tied to the perception other people have of him, and most kids are not. But that's especially important for children who are on the spectrum because over time, as they get older, if we're not careful as parents to continue to instill in them a high sense of value, they will begin to understand that their difference is viewed as a deficit to some, and then they will internalize that, which is why I'm always trying to be mindful of maintaining Khalil's self-confidence. But in doing that, full circle, I have to learn how to do that for myself. I can't teach my child or instill in my child something I don't have within myself, which is why this platform is essential. And why I designed it is because I learned very quickly that I'm incredibly passionate about my son living a full life in which he can thrive with a high sense of himself. But I can't teach him something that I don't know. And so I have to model it. In order for me to model it, I have to do the work, the unpacking my own trauma, leaning into my personal development, being present and enjoying what is good, shifting my perspective. I have to do that in order to teach my son to do the same, right? And so detaching ourselves from other people's criticism is key to that. She goes on to ask a series of questions, which I appreciate. Do you really want to leave your self-esteem hinging on how you imagine others perceiving you? Or do you want to find a way to feel proud of yourself at the end of the day? If you attach your self-esteem to how other people are perceiving you, honey, you are going to go to and fro. It's like that pendulum. You swinging right to left because people's perceptions of you are based on their experience. So that is the other piece, that perfection is an illusion and perception is solely based on one's own experience. And so you really cannot control what someone thinks about you. The only thing you can control is what you think about yourself. How you treat people is a different story because people experience you based on how you treat them. But if they don't truly know you, then their perception of you is based on their experience, not yours. Recentering yourself within your own life, I think, is essential. Like, we are the masters of our fate. We are the captains of our soul. And that applies to a lot of things. I used to use it in terms of my ambition and manifesting and accessing things I wanted for myself, particularly external wise material. But in this phase, I'm learning that being the master of your fate and the captain of your soul is more, for me, about the story I'm telling myself about myself and how I'm viewing myself and perceiving myself. I am the master of my fate because of what I believe about myself. I'm the captain of my soul based on how I treat myself, right? That is where I am now using that statement. She writes that perfection and excellence are not the same thing. I remember when I was working in school systems and there was a school leader who would say that often. And I really appreciated that because it wasn't this idea of living up to someone else's expectation. It was about living up to your highest level of standard for yourself and then detaching that from what others will expect of you, right? And so excellence to me is continual improvement while giving yourself a lot of grace, while giving yourself all the grace in the world. She says that when it comes to perfection and excellence and the fact that they're not the same, that one is sought with the intention of how something will appear, and the other is created with the intention of how it will actually be. So one is about how things are seen, and another is how they actually are, right? I'm going to close out this week's podcast with a few of the things that resonated with me, and I hope that they resonate with you. And then I hope that you have a great Sunday, a great week, a great summer. Obviously, I'll be back next week with a new podcast, but as we embark on the summer, and this is Memorial Day weekend, I want for you to have a peaceful summer, a gracious summer, a present summer with your children, with your family. So with that, I want to close you with a few of the things that she hopes for you, and I hope for you as well as myself. I hope you find the courage to live in an imperfect life. Perfection was an answer to a question that you were too afraid to ask. I hope you learn to choose what you already know is right. I hope you begin to see that in place of perfection, you could seek truth. Determine whose opinions you will value and whose truly matter. There can only be a few people in this world that opinion and value really matter to you. You cannot care about everyone you encounter and everyone you engage with their opinion. It is not possible. There should only be a few. And those people should only be in your intimate circle. And we could talk about that, unpack that in another podcast episode. That which we seek can only come to us if we connect to ourselves first. So with that, I really appreciate you all. I hope that you have an amazing, amazing summer time with your family. Until next time, take care of yourself.